So please tell me I'm not alone in thinking we were watching Demon Slayer there for a minute. Sylpha is without a doubt her, but when she pulled out the sword that Lloyd ended up making her when Lloyd was on his little blacksmithing adventures, between the camera work, with that like 3D spin, to how she pulled out the blade, it very much reminded me of how the Love Hashra Mitsuri from Demon Slayer can be animated, because the way she was like, it felt like a ribbon. Like, that's the best way to put it. It was like her blade was a ribbon, which is exactly how the Love Hashra is kind of presented in Demon Slayer. And it was so cool because it's so different than the style we're used to not only seeing her character design fight like, but anything else in the show. And the fact that we're legitimately 10 episodes in to this 12 episode anime, and somehow the production has gotten progressively better rather than being a bit of a rocky roller coaster. The show's always had some visually impressive moments, but unironically, they somehow have been topping themselves with visual spectacle, which usually there's a couple of moments that really get that attention of detail, where this show's saying, hey, every episode's gonna look great. And honestly, this had to have had a very healthy production, because there's no way this remains to look this good with as many special effects as it has, unless they were cooking, and they've been cooking for a bit. Of course, I have full live reactions to all these episodes of Reincarnated as 7th Prince over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and thought to this or any of these episodes, it's going to be over there exclusively. So I very much enjoyed this episode. I thought it was going to go by quicker than it did. I've kind of figured that like maybe by the midway point we would rescue Lloyd and all's well that ends well. But in fact, no, they've been dealing with Humpty Dumpty and his minions, and to be honest, I don't think many people thought they were going to put up quite as much of a fight as they did, because initially when you see them jump everyone in terms of the Red Wedding of the show, you assume a lot of them are going to be mindless fodder, but their regeneration abilities is no joke, and the fact that something that I like about this show is that they don't forget about the little things. So the fact that Lloyd made all of them magical swords, they are now using those in this episode. It's pretty easy for shows like these to have a character who's like, oh, I've made magical armor, magical this or that, and then 3 episodes later, that's never used again. Like, it's mentioned in the moment, but then you never actually see it in execution, where with here, they're casting fireballs left and right, and while it definitely hurts them, they regenerate too quickly. So then our brother Albert comes in with the volcanic eruption of Hell's asshole, ruptures everything in sight, and honestly, it was pretty crazy. But the fact that this Humpty Dumpty looking mofo is still alive is crazy, because I thought he'd be the first to go. Now, don't get it twisted, I think his character design is incredibly fun, but I didn't take him seriously initially. And honestly, it wasn't until closer to the end of the episode that I kind of took him seriously at all, because he just looks like you shouldn't take him seriously. But it turns out the body that this demon snatched was like a master swordsman, and honestly, props to him, because Sylpha was actually getting her shit pushed in a little bit. Though it's kind of funny just to see like the different styles and how creatively horrifying different shots can be. Like, this man was like pulling out some like demon level animation that was just like, it was freaky, but it was cool. And then the contrast to our heroes, it was nice, because basically we have arguably some of the funniest stuff at the start of this episode, surrounded by just absolute chaos for the rest of it. So something that absolutely left me rolling was the fact that Albert was under the assumption that our boy got stripped down and there was fluids and things on his underwear. And that gets a fantastic conclusion in this episode where, Jesus, the saying "think before you speak" has never been more needed than in this moment. This is just a misunderstanding. His clothes were drying off because they were covered in my bodily fluid. We know he's wholesome, but even we can't defend him in that moment. It is a good thing someone else was able to pull him back, because honestly, had he got killed there, I wouldn't even be able to get upset. I'd be like, you know what, he was asking for that. You can't tell someone that you covered his little brother's underwear in bodily fluids and they were drying off. Like, even though that's technically true, there's no way you take that at face value. Even knowing the context, even I don't want to defend it. It was just funny. And honestly, to see the group just collectively kick ass, though it wasn't an immediate victory or anything, the demons actually were packing a mad punch, and just to see that, like, we had like 2 seconds of Lloyd in this episode, the rest was all focused on them. So it seems like probably by the end of episode 11, this section will be resolved, with episode 12 being whatever the epilogue wants to be, probably sequel bait for where a season 2 might go, if it gets greenlit, or go read the source material sort of ending. And in general, I really hope we see more. This show has just been consistent. Like, I think when you look at what the first few episodes laid out for us, that's what we've continuously received episodes going forward. The show has had its questionable, if not quite sus moments, and no one can deny that. But goddamn, if the fun factor has always been there. And honestly, I do like the characterization of characters like Silpha in terms of her kicking herself, feeling like she's so pathetic because, you know, she was a failure to her lord and, you know, wants to be stronger. And the fact that, you know, Lloyd, you know, despite her also questionable behavior for being so infatuated by some 12-year-old kid, the fact that she's, like, generally so happy that her master, Lloyd, was able to pay attention to so many things that, you know, she hasn't been able to go all out because she's clearly scared of breaking her blade. So now a blade that's a little more flexible but incredibly more durable will be able to keep up with her natural abilities. Those little moments go a long way, and honestly, the visual spectacle of the show just kind of speaks for itself. The music remains to be a banger. It has you grooving in your seat. It's a very heavy OST, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, between the stuff that was just pure demon mode from Humpty Dumpty and the gang, which just looked visually crazy, the fire explosions and everything, or just the ending shot of this fool getting sliced into like 3, 4, 5 pieces, we don't even know what happened. It was unsheathed, sheathed right back, it was all said and done. She moved like that. She was like Zensu in terms of how fast she moved from Demon Slayer, but with more of a Love Hashira style breathing technique. It was crazy, and honestly, you know, sometimes when you look at the animation, you would swear it's Ufotable animating it in terms of how they handle a lot of the 3D mixed with 2D, and I really hope if this does get a season 2, they remain to have the same staff, because this staff, they cooked. I'd probably go as far to say this was like one of the most consistent shows I've seen so far this year, with some of the more visually impressive, especially with how they blended 3D with 2D, that I've seen so far this year. I really hope season 2 sticks with the kind of style they got going on, because I wouldn't change a damn thing about that. But of course, those are my feelings. What did you think about this episode? I definitely thought we were closer to the end, but no, they let these characters have time to shine without Lloyd being a meme, and honestly, it let me appreciate them a bit more, even if it was questionable with the bodily fluids comment, but he tried. I guess that's all that matters. Let me know what you thought down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we have Chris, Nezel, Akama, Vincent, Jermaine Cornell Rayleigh, and Carlos De La Cruz. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.